Strike one to Michael Bourne, and this game is underway. 49 minutes worth of rain delay. We had 2 hours and 3 minutes of a rain delay in yesterday's game, the series opener, a game in which the Reds came away winners. 1-1 to the speedy Michael Bourne. Tardy on that swing, 1-2.
I really wish that facing this Michael Bourne for the future for the Reds, they would pound him inside with fastballs and make him hit an off-speed pitch. The balls that we see him slap into left field are nothing but fastballs away.
There's a fastball up and in, swung on and missed.
He's got no chance on that pitch. Fastball up and in, and any type of ball that's got any kind of wrinkle to it at all. That's the reason Michael Bourne never made it to the big leagues with the Philadelphia Phillies. And he's just gotten to the point where he can slap the ball the other way.
Now Miguel Tejada. A .341 batter, 5 home runs and 26 runs batted in. Foul away for strike one. Talked about it yesterday. The Astros, along with the Washington Nationals, the only 2 National League teams to have 3 regular players in their lineup batting .300 or better. Tejada, Hunter Pence, and Carlos Lee, and Michael Bourne not all that far away. Breaking ball that got away from Owings. 1 ball and 1 strike.
And at home, that looks like a fastball that Mike Owings threw at the head of Tejada, but it was actually a changeup that just came out of the hand of Micah Owings a tad early. It's only 81 miles an hour.
Come right back with a breaking ball, and he waves through it. A ball and 2 strikes. Miguel Tejada named the National League's Player of the Week. Look at those numbers. A .522 batting average. His teammate Hunter Pence has to say, well, what about me? High fly ball in the short right field. Jay Bruce is there. 2 gone in the opening frame for Mike Owen. So here comes that Lance Berkman again.
Tom, Tejada just showed us that a fastball or a pitch inside doesn't always have to be a fastball to be effective, so that you can't get out over the plate to get to the ball. That was a changeup inside that was off the plate, up around the neck area. And you go back away with 2 pitches, and Tejada hit him going backwards.
Digging in some of the numbers we learned about earlier today, Lance Berkman in his career, 9% of his major league at-bats have come against the Cincinnati Reds. 9%. 15% of his home runs in his career have come against the Cincinnati Reds. 47 home runs in less than 480 career at-bats for Lance Berkman.
Was that 1 for 10? It's pretty good. 10 AB. That's smoking.
Grounded fair up the first base line. Extra bases for Lance Berkman, as Bruce has that ball just die in the water area, and Berkman on his way to third and in there headlong with a 3-base hit.
Just goes to show you, Tom, that right field corner is absolutely devastating, even when you practice it and play it every day, as Jay Bruce does. That ball comes around the corner. You don't know if it's going to hit a pad, it's going to jump back to you, it's going to stop. That one hit the pad and went backwards. Tough right field corner to play.
So now runner stands at third with 2 out here in the opening inning, and that'll bring Carlos Lee to the plate. Hitting at .319 with 8 home runs and 29 batted in. Fastball misses away. Ball 1 to Lee. Fouled away, a ball and a strike for Lance Berkman. That's his first 3-base hit of the year. But Berkman came into this series batting .225. Now, granted, the handful of games before this series, he started swinging the bat a little bit better. But he has 3 hits and 7 at-bats in this series. 6 at-bats, I beg your pardon. A 2-run home run, a double, and now a triple. Hardy on a fastball is lead. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
And I can understand why you, even with the success of Berkman, why you don't just walk him when you have 2 outs, or why you don't walk him when you have guys on base. And it's because of this guy that's standing in the batter's box right now. They can take you flat out deep at any moment, at any time.
1-2 delivery. Check swing and a miss, and that is all in the Houston first inning. A 2-out triple by Berkman, who's stranded at third. The Reds are coming up. Is tonight they break through against Roy Oswalt. Down. Chris Dickerson leads off in center. Jerry Hairston Jr. at second. Joey Votto back in the lineup at first base. Ramon Hernandez, a cleanup hitter behind the plate. Jay Bruce in right. Lance Nix back in left field. Alex Gonzalez, the shortstop. Adam Rosales at third, and Micah Owings is on the mound. Lance Nix, a native Texan, has done some damage in a limited number of at-bats against the Houston Astros. And here's Roy Oswalt. A 1-2 record, an ERA of almost 4.5. But 23-1 in his career against the Reds, and the first pitch is whacked right at the second baseman, 1 away. 1 pitch, 1 out for Roy Oswalt. The defense behind him, presented by Ford. Lee, Bourne, Pence, left, center, and right. Keppinger, Tejada on the left side. Masonette, Berkman on the right side. And Pudge Rodriguez will hang the signs. Rodriguez had to leave the game yesterday, you may remember, after injuring his knee in the bottom of the first inning. A 5-run first inning for the Reds. Jerry Hairston Jr. at 265 home runs, 12 knocked in, spun away from that 1-1. Joey Votto standing in that on-deck circle, back in a lineup here tonight. That one popped up, should be an easy play for Tejada. 2 away on 3 pitches for Roy Oswalt. Is there any way to explain the confidence that Roy Oswalt must have every time he takes the ball against the Reds?
I don't know if you can explain it, but I do know that Roy Oswalt pitches the same way against the Reds that he does against everybody else. He attacks the strike zone. He makes his all-out attempt to keep his fastball down in the strike zone and uses that breaking ball and that Bugs Bunny changeup late in the game. Early, you're not going to see anything but fastballs for the most part.
Down a strike, Joey Votto back in the lineup. He's been bothered, of course, by that inner ear infection. When you consider the Reds have played 2.5 weeks, their last 17 games going back to May the 7th, Votto has missed 12 starts in those 17 games, either with the flu, with dizziness, and then the inner ear infection. And yet he has 31 runs batted in, and he is the National League's leading hitter at .368.
Reds fans need to get on the board, or maybe I should say get on the computer. If you're not here at the ballpark to fill out the All-Star packet, do it at the house, because this is one guy that needs to be there. He has meant everything to this Reds team, not only on the field but also in that locker room.
And that's where you really see it. The Reds attendance has been so low for whatever reason or reasons. Yesterday, a Memorial Day crowd of under 18,000. But a lot of stadiums around baseball yesterday were nearly full.
But you can vote online now.
On swinging Votto, and the inning is over for the Reds. Ho hum for Oswalt. He retires aside in order. Suffered through the early part of this year. Look at the number of players that have started at each position so far this year. It is just amazing. And not only the starts, but the maneuvering inside of games. Ramon Hernandez the other night played third base for the first time in his major league career.
I wouldn't worry about Ramon Hernandez wherever you put him, especially from a glove standpoint. He misses nothing. I mean, he plays great first base. He played great over there at third, and he plays great behind home plate.
Hunter pencils at ball one as we begin the second inning.
It's nice to have athletes on the field that you can move from one place to another when you do have injuries or you do have situations where you have to make moves.
1-1 to Pence, a .358 batter, 5 home runs, 19 runs batted in. Apparently Friday is going to be quote-unquote D-Day, if you will, in regards to Brandon Phillips. We understand he is not going to play tomorrow. The Reds have an off day Thursday, a day which they will travel to start that 7-game road trip. It begins with 3 in Milwaukee, followed by 4 in St. Louis. But Friday, the Reds are going to have to make a determination one way or the other as to whether or not Phillips is going to get back in the lineup and be able to play, or put him on the disabled list. Now, he did swing a bat yesterday, swung a bat again today. Apparently that's not bothering him. What they're concerned about, obviously, is in the field, where if he were to get hit on that right thumb, the damage that could be done to it. Further damage. Popped up into short right. Jay Bruce makes a play, and Pence retired. But when you look at what Brandon Phillips has done after a terrible start in the month of April,
It's phenomenal.
He leads the National League. All National Leaguers. I mean, Albert Pujols, Andre Ethier, Ryan Braun, you name them. No one has knocked in more runs in the month of May than Brandon Phillips. 27 RBIs. And no Red has produced more than 27 runs batted in a calendar month since Adam Dunn back in June of 05. And you're talking about a guy in Phillips who's missed the last now 3 games with that thumb injury. And still, he's among the league leaders in most statistical categories.
Yeah, he was headed for 35 or 40.
And he was on his way to being the National League's Player of the Month, and it's still not out of the realm of possibility if he can get back in there and play the final 3 days of May this coming weekend against the Brewers. Gone swinging. 3 pitches to take care of Pudge Rodriguez, and that's 3 strikeouts for Micah Owings.
You look at the statistics for Pudge Rodriguez. He swings at pretty much everything you throw, so stay out of the strike zone. He's struck out 32 times. He's walked 8 times. If that doesn't tell you about Pudge, I don't know what will. But then you flip the coin to this next guy. He's only struck out 4 times. And we know all about Jeff Keppinger. 4 strikeouts in 64 at-bats.
Strike 1 to Keppinger. He made the trip back to Cincinnati. Was in the lineup here yesterday. Was on base 4 times. A single, 2 doubles, a walk, scored a run. Good breaking ball there by Owings to get ahead 0-2.
He is working quickly, and that normally tells you that a pitcher feels pretty good about himself right now.
Everybody on the field collectively.
They were moving to the dugout.
Indeed they were, thinking that was strike 3. Mercy, mercy, where did this miss?
Everybody except Mike Everett, and that's the home plate umpire.
Knocked down by Owings. Boy, he's a good athlete in this.
Yes, he is.
A 1-2-3 second. Reds come to bat. No score after an inning and a half.
Toyota dealers. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. By JTM, Food, Family, Fund. JTM. And by Jeep. You talk, we listen. It's a new day. Have fun out there. Jeep.
Well, you get a look as the sun begins to fade just behind the ballpark to the first base side into the western sky. A little sliver of that sunlight is shining right down on Roy Oswalt. Well, he's staring right into it. Of course, that's probably the way the Reds have felt when facing Roy Oswalt going all the way back to 2001. 23-1 his career against the Reds. Astounding. Breaking ball swung on and missed. He's made 28 starts. Has pitched twice against the Reds. Those were his first 2 appearances against the Reds out of the bullpen. A 23-1 record and a 2.35 career ERA in those outings. He won his first 15 decisions against the Reds before losing on April 28, 2006. And since that loss has won 8 straight decisions over 10 starts. As good as he's been against them this year, he has not beaten the Reds this year. He's only given up 1 run in 13 innings. First time out against him in Houston on the 17th. He had a 1-0 lead over Johnny Cueto. They brought in Jose Valverde in the 9th inning, and the man at the plate, Ramon Hernandez, hit an opposite field 2-run home run in a 2-1 win. And then Oswalt here, 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run. But the Astros came back to beat the Reds after Oswalt had been taken out of the game.
And I would say from Micah Owing's standpoint, this is a club that he feels pretty comfortable pitching against. He has 2 complete games in his major league career. One of them came against this ball club, where he gave up 1 run, 1 walk, 8 punch-outs.
In right field, nearly bumping into one another, Hunter Pence and Michael Bourne, and Pence squeezes it tightly, 1 away. Well, you see that beautiful new Toyota Tundra. If a Reds player hits the Tundra sign in left center or the Tundra sign in right center field during tonight's game, Bill Whalen from Florence, Kentucky will win it. Register for your chance to win during an upcoming game at your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Jay Bruce, the batter, down a strike. Bruce, a day off yesterday, at least in the starting lineup. Hitless in his last 13 at bats.
And I think you're going to see Jay up and down, up and down. I'm not talking about up and down in the big leagues. I'm talking about up and down as far as his production goes.
That was a rocket right there at Masonette, 2 away.
Until he gets familiar, more familiar, I should say, with the pitchers that are around the league. This guy can flat out hit anything. He just saw 2 94-mile-an-hour breaking balls, and he gets, or 2 94-mile-an-hour fastballs, and he gets a breaking ball, and he's right on it.
Rob Dibbles, he only got it through 94-mile-an-hour breaking balls.
Yeah, exactly. But Bruce is a phenomenal talent.
Here's Lance Nix. Nix hitting his first slump of the year. Over the last 10 games, just a .229 batter. I mean, he was
on fire.
Yes, indeed, for so long. Swinging a foul ball out of play. And here recently, with all the left-handers the Reds have seen, they saw 2 in the Philadelphia series, saw 2 southpaws in the Cleveland series, and a left-hander here last night. His playing time has been cut back dramatically. Looped into left field, and that is a base hit for Lance Nix. First base runner for the Reds. A 2-out single by Nix here in the 2nd inning.
I think this is the part about Lance Nix that you love about the whole Cincinnati Reds. The young club that is fighting for every tooth and nail that they get, and for any kind of respect that they get. For every 2 steps they take forward, they get knocked back a step. But that's part of it. That's part of growing in the big leagues. Sooner or later, it's going to be 3 steps for every one you get knocked back, and soon enough, it'll be 4.
Alex Gonzalez fouls it away. It appears early on in this game that if there is a game plan put together by the Reds offensively against Oswalt, swinging early and often.
Get that first pitch fastball for the most part. That's what you see from Oswalt until you get around the 5th or 6th inning. Then you're going to start to see that curveball and that changeup. And I've seen Oswalt throw some changeups that float in there around 63, 64 miles an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Looked like an ephus pitch almost. Oh, look out.
Into center field, a base hit. Look out is right.
That almost took his head off, Tom. Fastball down and away, and this is the pitch that Gonzalez has really started to hit well. And when he's going good, Gonzalez going good, that's the pitch he handles well. The fastball down and away. He just gets the bat head to it, and he does not overswing.
Now 2-out chance, scoring chance for Adam Rosales. And a first pitch breaking ball is up and in, ball 1. Back-to-back 2-out hits against Oswalt off the bats of Nix and Gonzalez.
And this is where the Reds have really presented a good front from an offensive side. You feel like all the way through this lineup they've got a chance to score from top to bottom. And I think that's why we have seen some 2-out rallies, some 2-out hits, some 2-out scoring, because all through this lineup, from Chris Dickerson all the way down in today's ball game to Micah Owings for that matter, you've got somebody that has a pretty good chance at the plate.
Fouled away, 1-2 to Adam Rosales. Adam 2 hits and 5 at bats yesterday, scored twice and knocked in a run. One ball, 2 strikes. Breaking ball swung on and missed, and there's that pitch you were talking about at 68 miles per hour.
Tough one.
Reds get 2 hits, Strand 2, no score at the end of 2. Winds through downtown, finishes inside the ballpark. There's also a 1-mile run, a Gappers Fun Run for the little ones. For information, go to reds.com/5K or visit the Reds Community Fund booth at Great American Ballpark. Cowboy, you gonna run in that 5K? That's just not even breaking a sweat for a guy like you.
What's the K? 5 yards? I can do that. Is that right?
No, it's about a little more than 3 miles.
Oh, miles? No. If it ain't couch to the refrigerator, you can get it.
And back.
Yeah, like that. I'll be eating something at the fridge and then go back and have some energy.
Strike two. Edwin Maisonette leading off the Astros third inning. Will be followed by the pitcher Roy Oswalt. Then back to the top of the order, center fielder Michael Bourne. High fly ball, short left center. Backing up, making the call is Alex Gonzalez. One away. When the Reds get it done with an RBI this season, that means another $25 from Shakely goes to the Reds Community Fund. Shakely, it's done. One out, nobody on. Scoreless game. We're in the third. Had a rain delay. We're almost 50 minutes getting this one started. And there's a strike to Roy Oswalt. Oswalt 2 hits and 18 at bats. Owings has allowed 1 hit, struck out 3, has not walked a batter, and a 1-1 to Oswalt. Shot foul out of play. Reds and Astros conclude this 3-game series and end for the Reds a 9-game homestand tomorrow night. Tickets are available. We invite you to come on down. The Reds will be sending Bronson Arroyo to the mound against Felipe Paulino. Hard throwing right-hander. 7:10 first pitch tomorrow night. Foul out of play, and then the Reds will enjoy a day off Monday. Boy, and what a road trip that figures to be for the Reds. Last night started a string of 13 straight games inside the National League Central Division. 3 against Milwaukee coming up this weekend. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. And then the Reds come back to Great American Ballpark just for a 3-game series. That's it. That's the entire homestand. June 5th, 6th, and 7th against the Cubs. The Cubs have lost a staggering 9 straight games going into play tonight. That is hard to believe. That club, the Chicago Cubs, when you look at the payroll, when you look at the players they have, and you know they had Zambrano out for a little while. Aramis Ramirez is out right now, but after that they really have not been missing a lot of big pieces to their team.
I think what happens is when you have a big player like Ramirez out, everybody tries to do a little bit too much, and then you all of a sudden, instead of having one guy in a slump, you have your whole team in a slump. And then there's some pointing fingers, and you got to do this, you got to do that. Heck, I heard they were even talking about moving Soriano back to the infield.
Yep.
Let him go on and do it.
Quite an at-bat here by Oswalt. Owings having a hard time putting him away. Take a look at the National League Central Division standings presented by Honda. Milwaukee won the opener of that series against St. Louis yesterday in an extra inning affair, 1-0. So they're a game better than St. Louis. The Reds just 2.5 back. Cubs and the Pirates are just underway tonight at Wrigley Field. 2-2 pitch. And another foul ball. Owings just cannot put Roy Oswalt away in his at bat.
And I think the big thing that you were talking about, Tom, with the schedule issue, if you're gonna beat teams and you're gonna play your best, it's always important to do that within your division. That's the one part that I do like about this schedule, is midway through the season you go through hammer time, almost a month of, you know, you're in there in your division and you are knocking it out.
10 pitches in this at bat for Oswalt. What do you do now, Cowboy? I mean,
well, I think
this guy's not even a good hitter.
And I think from Oswalt's position, he's just trying to stay alive. From Mike Owings' position, He's just trying to continue to throw strikes. You don't want to throw a breaking ball here at 2-2, but I would imagine sooner or later he's going to have to.
Owings had thrown 31 pitches to the first 8 batters. He's thrown 10 in this at bat, and now 11.
There's the breaking ball
to finally get him out. So Oswalt really making Owings work. Of course, Michael will lead off the bottom of the 3rd against Roy Oswalt. Michael Bourne struck out swinging his first time up. First pitch fastball, knee high outside corner. Oh, and 1 count on Michael Bourne. Breaking ball misses low and away. Now you pointed out appropriately, Jeff Brentley, that you'd like to see him come in hard on this guy. That's how they struck him out the first time. They're coming in right here. And didn't get the call. 2-1.
Not sure what that pitch was there, but that was not the normal fastball that you see from Micah Owings. Michael Bourne doesn't handle the ball in very well, and he doesn't handle the off-speed pitches. And I think part of it is he just doesn't see it well. That ball there is a ball, and he swung at it anyway. Now you leave him a fastball out over the plate, as we have seen. We saw it last night, and we saw it in Houston. He will slap it the other way, and in most cases, if he gets it down the line, he's going to beat the left fielder to second base by the time our left fielder gets to the ball.
Grounded to the shortstop Gonzalez. Micah Owings. A lengthy 3rd, an 11 pitch at bat with Oswalt, but he sets him down in order. Still no score after 2.5 in Cincinnati. Sunday, June the 7th at Great American Ballpark. For your tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com. The Reds home series with the Cubbies presented by Cincinnati Bell. That ball smoked into left field. Off the bat of Mike Owings. What a nice play that was by Carlos Lee.
Self-preservation. That ball might have popped up and hit him right in the forehead as he went down after it.
Looks like that ball didn't skip by him, especially on that wet grass.
You could see Big Lee turn his head. He wasn't about to take that one off the face, but he did glove it. Maybe that's why Owings threw Oswalt so many fastballs. It's kind of that pitcher-pitcher thing. I throw you fastballs, you throw me fastballs. Except I can hit.
Dickerson scalded one right on Masonette, the second baseman. This time he hits it, bang! And Owings going to make a hard turn, stop right there, and now the Reds have something cooking. Back-to-back hits to begin the third inning. And you got to believe, well, we'll see if Jerry Hairston's up there to bunt. You would assume he will, but then you know they'll walk Joey Votto.
You said it early, Tom, and it is exactly true. Game plan today for the Reds. You see fastball, you hit fastball. Early in the count, be ready to swing. And that's exactly what's happened here on the first two pitches of the Reds' third inning. The Reds have a lot of times where they put bunts down. And Jerry Hairston does have 3 sack bunts, but he has had some trouble in games past getting the bunt down.
And to be fair, Hairston and Rosales have both been out here working tirelessly and trying to get better at putting down the bunt. We'll see if it pays off. It did for Rosales 2 days ago.
It'll be one of those situations.
And you can't do it any better than that. Perfect. Well, now you know it's coming. Or at least one would assume, and it's a pretty safe bet, that they are going to walk Joey Votto.
Well, it will have to come from the bench, because I don't think you're going to see Roy Oswalt take a step back and say, okay, I'm going to walk this kid. And unless Cecil Cooper says you walk him, Roy Oswalt's going to pitch to him.
Wow, look at this. I'm stunned.
I'm telling you, this is about Roy Oswalt much more than it is about anything else.
Joey Votto, the second best hitter in the league with runners in scoring position, a .457 hitter. He leads the league in on-base percentage. You got to wonder what he'll get to hit. But if they're going to start off pitching to him, we'll know on the first pitch. Fastball, and he takes it right down the middle.
I have seen this time and time again, even with Pujols standing at home plate in this situation. Unless that man in that dugout, the manager, Cecil Cooper, says you walk him, Oswalt's going after him.
0-1 to Votto. A breaking ball is taken in the dirt. Boy, that's got to be a very difficult pitch not to swing in.
Well, both pitches, Pudge Rodriguez sets up on the inside corner. And that may be a telltale as to where they're going with Votto early in this count with Oswalt.
1-1 to Joey Votto. Fastball, he chased it up 94 miles per hour.
And they go right back in there. And you can see that big time run on that fastball by Roy Oswalt. Most of his fastballs stay straight until he gets that adrenaline going in these kinds of situations. He gives it a little extra. He flies open just a tad, and that ball moves big time.
Runners at second and third, 1 out, 1-2 to count on Votto. Struck him out swinging, just blew him away on nothing but fastball. So Oswalt not going to back down against anybody, and he stands tall against Votto.
And this is part of a catcher knowing a pitcher, knowing that he's going to try to overthrow the baseball. Pudge sets up inside, knowing that if he at least aims there, the ball is going to cover the plate sometime. As he falls off towards the first base side, the ball will run and ride up and away. And they get Votto on 2 pitches in the same spot.
Now Ramon Hernandez. He looks at ball 1 down low.
And now you see Oswalt going back to a controlled approach, a location approach, instead of a power approach. And you see right there, that's Roy Oswalt to a T, maximizing his pitches. 26 strikes, 7 balls. And he's in trouble right now. You'd never know.
1-0 the count on Ramon Hernandez. Oswalt delivers. Fastball high is 2-0. Situations like this where we've seen Hernandez so many times, maybe early in a count, 2-0 count coming up like this, where he'll try and turn on something. Then as the at bat progresses, you'll see him cut down that swing and hit it the other way.
And I think in this at bat time, just because Oswalt is such a tough pitcher to make contact with, he's set to drive it the other way.
3-0.
Because he's not even opening his hips until right at the last second. That means, to me, at least from a pitcher standpoint, that he's really trying to stay back, really trying to use his hands and his hip to shoot that ball between first and second base.
Well, they really play him to hit it the other way, at least in the outfield.
And that's part of why Oswalt is pitching him inside. He knows if he goes away, there's a chance he could catch one and shoot it right down that right field line.
Breaking ball, strike two. Hernandez thought it was high.
Borderline, borderline, borderline.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Runners at second and third with 2 away in a scoreless game in the bottom of the 3rd inning. And Oswalt bringing it. And right back up the middle. Hernandez delivers with a 2-run single. And the Reds lead it 2-0. How about that? That is big league hitting right there from Ramon Hernandez.
This is why you watch this hip right here. It stays closed all the way on the inside. Watch him turn it in right there. He turns the hip in, staying back, making sure that he can get his hands to the baseball, not trying to do too much, just trying to do enough. And that's why Hernandez gets the base hit up the middle. He doesn't pop it up. He doesn't flare it up. He gets the hit on the ground in the perfect spot.
Bruce lined out to second, his only time up. And a lazy pop up into short left center. This might fall in. Who wants it? And Lee has to come sliding in to make the play and get the final out of the inning. But Ramon Hernandez, a 2-out, 2-run single to put the Reds in front. Oswalt's 23 wins, the 8th most all-time versus the Reds. Who has the most career victories against the Cincinnati Reds? Good question tonight. It's real good. Most nights it's a little on the shaky side, but tonight pretty impressive. Much like our producer of Reds baseball, Christian Roberts. And our director tonight is Brian Hunterman. So Mike Owings now staked to a 2-0 lead. He's been mighty good through the front three. He's only allowed one base runner. That was a 2-out triple in the opening inning to Lance Berkman. He goes right through the teeth of this batting order in the fourth. Tejada, Berkman, and Lee. We know what this Astros team is capable of offensively. Their .285 average in May is best among all National League teams. And that one blasted into left field. Will go to the wall, and Tejada on his way to second base with a leadoff double.
And this is part of why you have to have this club off balance if you're a pitcher, because they can do some damage and do it in a hurry. Look at Tejada stay back and just drop the head and the hips turn right through that baseball. He's got that natural down to the baseball and then almost a lift as he gets through it. You leave it inside and it's not heavy velocity, Tejada's going to turn it around on it.
It's a 10-game hitting streak now for Tejada, in which he's hit better than .450. Strike one to Lance Berkman, who tripled down the right field line his only time up. Got a good pitch to hit right there and fouled it straight back.
It was just a tad out in front of it. That pitch came in about 3 or 4 miles an hour underneath the fastball, the regular fastball of Owings, and it looked like Berkman was just a little bit out in front. Boy, this would be a big out for Owings right here.
One and two on Lance Berkman. Tejada at second with nobody out. And the count even now 2-2 to Berkman. See Lance Berkman just 2 long ones away from 300 and 12 runs batted in away from 1,000. The Astros actually have a chance to become the first club in Major League history to have 3 players reach their 300th career home runs in the same season. 3-2. Berkman at 298. Carlos Lee at 289. They have a chance to do it later this year. Pudge Rodriguez has already done it this season. Hit his 300th home run Sunday at Wrigley Field against Rich Harden a week ago Sunday. So after getting ahead at 1-2 on Berkman, Owings lost him. And that's his first walk of the night.
And I don't think that was a pitch around by any means to Lance Berkman. He just ended up not being able to make a pitch. You try to stay out of the middle of the plate, of course. He just wasn't able to make a pitch there.
Now you got some work to do.
Got to make one here.
Ball one to Carlos Lee, who struck out swinging, ending the first inning. 2-1 and nobody out right after the Reds had just put a 2 spot on the board against Oswald. And Hernandez says, hang on a minute. There is trouble a brewing here in this inning.
Where we saw Owings earlier in the ball game being very aggressive in the strike zone. Now he gets to the second time around to these guys, and he's moved the ball out to the outer parts of the plate. He's trying to hit the edge of the corners instead of making these Astros swing the bat. And you know what happens there? That gets you in big trouble.
Two 2-0 on Carlos Lee. And there is ball 3, and Owings now needing a compass to find the strike zone. After getting ahead of Berkman at 1-2, he walks him and starts Lee 3-0. And do not be surprised if the big fella is hacking 3-0. We have seen him in the past do major damage on 3-0 pitches. And that one hits Owings, and he might be hurt.
That was flush on the leg, and that's going to hurt. That ball is right off the right leg, or either got his hip or the leg itself. It looks like he's grabbing the hip, the right hip, as he turned after finishing the pitch. And that is a big man that hit the baseball. Watch that right hip, the back hip. He turns, and yep, that's exactly where it hits him. And it was flush because that ball came back towards home plate. And you could hear that little thud. And that's right on the spot, Tom, where you're getting some push off from. I got hit in just about that same spot from Andre Dawson back in 1990. And it left a mark on my leg that lasted for a good 4 months. And it was the size of a football, and the color was flat black.
Well, they're going to let Owings throw a couple of pitches under the watchful eye of head trainer Mark Mann and manager Dusty Baker. He threw that one pretty well.
Well, the problem is not right now. The problem is 15 minutes from now when he goes back into the dugout and it stiffens up. That's when the problem comes in. Check this out. Oh! You can see him reach for his hip immediately. And even though the ball is laying right there by the pitcher's mound, the pain is so severe you don't even go for the baseball. You just check to see if your leg's still intact.
Well, now the bases are loaded. Reds lead 3-0. Nobody out. And Hunter Pence is the batter. He flied out to short right field his first time up. Pence, a very tough hitter to double up. He runs very well. And a breaking ball is low.
Well, where we saw Owings ahead in the count the first time through, he's behind in the count to just about every hitter that stands in the box right now. And that's where the detriment comes in.
Very surprising. The Reds don't have anybody throwing in their bullpen. There's a line drive, softly hit and caught by Hairston for the first out of the inning.
You watch the motion. Watch this back elbow. It never gets up into the 90-degree slot. His elbow stays. You can see right as his elbow starts to pass by the shoulder. When his elbow passes by the shoulder, it's actually underneath the shoulder. So he really doesn't get that maximum amount of torque and downhill angle that most pitchers do as they throw the ball to home plate. So his ball stays flat.
Pudge Rodriguez, the batter, bases loaded, 1 out. Swing and a miss on a pitch up. And Ramon Hernandez halfway out.
You see where his elbow is here. This is where the shoulder is at that point. The elbow is back down here. Now when the ball comes towards home plate, instead of getting that downhill action this way, as most pitchers do, his ball stays flat. It still has some downhill, but not the normal downhill. And that's where it becomes difficult to get the breaking ball or the sinker down in the strike zone.
Swung on and missed, 0-2 to Rodriguez.
So you almost have to rely on the change of speed and the location of the pitch. And sometimes that is the most difficult thing to do.
0-2 on Rodriguez. And it's in the air, foul territory, out of play. Well, we saw Owings not give Rodriguez a single strike when he struck him out on 3 pitches his first time up. Pudge will chase, as Jeff brought up earlier. And ahead in the count 0-2, you got to believe they're going to make him chase here.
If you go up, you go way up. If you go down, get it outside.
Oh boy, they left it down in his hitting zone, and he mashes it, and this is going to clear the bases. Boy, that is a big time mistake right there. They're going to hold the runner at third, so 2 runs score. But that is a major mistake there by Micah Owings. Right in the middle of the hitting zone on a 2-strike pitch in this game, tied at 2.
You want the ball out here. Guess where this ball ends up? It ends up right there. And that's where the problem begins on the pitch. Watch where that ball is. Oh, my goodness. You want to get the ball off the plate. That's an 0-2 pitch. That ball has got to be off the plate or in the dirt or head level if it's anywhere near the strike zone. That pitch was right down the middle, right over the heart of the plate, and it allows the Astros to tie the score. When you have a guy that strikes out at the rate, the alarming rate that Pudge Rodriguez does, and you get him at 0-2, you've got to be thinking strike out all the way. You don't get it anywhere near the plate. You get it in a different area here.
Well, now you got a guy who is nearly impossible to strike out, and that's Keppinger. He had a comebacker to the mound his first time up. So the Reds get 2 runs off Oswalt in the bottom of the 3rd inning, and just like that, double, walk, single. You get an out, and then on a 2-strike pitch, give up a 2-run double to tie the game. Still no one getting loose in the Reds bullpen, and we don't point it out because Owings has given up 2 runs in this inning, but because he took that line drive off the hip. And now they're going to intentionally walk Keppinger and load him up for the rookie Masonette.
Masonette popped out to the shortstop his first time up, and you hope that any swing that he puts into play does not get out of the infield. If he hits the ball into the outfield, the Astros will take the lead. Boy, that pitch to Rodriguez was criminal.
The rookie popped up to short his first time up, and there's a base hit into right field. And the Astros have a lead as Lee comes in to score. 3-2 game.
Well, Tom, this is the place where if you're going to beat a pitcher like Roy Oswalt, you have to know coming into the ballgame that in a situation where you have the bases loaded, you can't make a huge mistake. You're not going to get that many runs off of Oswalt. This isn't going to be a 7-6 ball game.
Now to pitcher Oswalt, who had an 11 pitch at bat his first time up. This should be a double play. It is to end the inning. But the Astros strike for 3 to take a 1-run lead. Question. Talked about Roy Oswalt and his 23 career wins, 8th most all time against the Cincinnati Reds. Who has the most? I'm interested to see the answer to this one. Well, not a surprise. Warren Spahn, 34 of them. A real pleasure to be joined tonight by the head baseball coach at Xavier University, Coach Scott Googins, who of course has led the Musketeers to their first ever appearance in the NCAA baseball tournament. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
You got to be excited.
Very excited.
So you're heading to Omaha?
I hope so. That's the goal. But right now we're going down to Rice and in Houston to open up with Kansas State.
Now, when the season began, I mean, everybody's optimistic. You know, you think you got, this kind of team or that kind of team. But, Coach, did you think you had a team that would win the A-10 or could win the A-10 and make the NCAA?
We really did. We have quite a few seniors. We have 8 seniors on the ball club and a lot of veteran guys coming back from last year. We won the regular season last year, so we really did. The big question was our pitching. We have some good arms, but they're very young, so that was kind of the we weren't sure about that. We weren't sure about that. But everything else, I thought we had enough.
But obviously they did the job.
Yeah, well, we stubbed our toe a little bit in the season. We didn't take care of business. But the last couple of weeks, we've really gelled together. Guys have accepted their roles, and we're really starting to play good baseball.
Sometimes when you have young pitching and you've got veteran leadership on your ball club, you get to a point, really, at this point in the season, you go into tournament action, you're really counting on those young guys to really be able to come back and be able to play.
That one shot into right field, and this game is tied up.
Needed that.
Needed that badly. You could use a few of those once you get down to Texas.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Speaking of Texas.
Now Lance Nix is a native Texan. Well, this did not take long to get out of here, Mr. Brantley.
He threw him a breaking ball, which is what he started Lance Nix with off in his first AB. Nix flared the single into left field off a fastball. This time he's waiting on the off-speed pitch. It's belt high, and it's goodbye.
Well, 3-3 game. Jeffrey, you were talking to Coach Googins about young pitching.
Well, I think that having been a young pitcher and gone into tournament play in NCAA regionals, we went down to Texas when I was a sophomore, so I know what you're up against, especially going into Rice. A good club. They've been there quite a few times. They were there when Berkman was there. Do you change anything that you're doing with your pitchers, or do you just let them go?
We're letting them go. As I talk to our guys, hey, we don't change anything. We're playing well. We're not pressing. Let's just go out and have some fun. Again, we're excited. We're just not there to show up and be the sacrificial lamb. We're there to hopefully make some noise in our regional and do some things. Again, we really feel if we play the way we've been playing the last couple of weeks, we got a chance, even though, again, we're going up against some big boys.
That's the best way to have it, is to go in thinking win instead of going in thinking, well, we're just happy that we made the regional. Right.
I got to ask you, Coach, at the collegiate baseball level. Now, you play all season long. You play some out-of-conference games, but then once the season gets rolling, primarily A-10 games. Now, all of a sudden, you make the NCAA tournament. I would imagine it's not too difficult to find out what you might need to know should the time comes when you play a program like Rice, high profile, on and on. But Kansas State, first time they've ever been to the NCAA tournament, like the Xavier Musketeers. How hard is it to get a scouting report on Kansas State in college baseball?
It's somewhat tough, but the nice thing is my first year as a head coach, we actually went out and played Kansas State in a series. So I know Brad Hill, his style. They're very aggressive. In the Big 12, they do a lot of small ball. They have 146 stolen bases, so they like to run the bases, and they've got some good pitching. So they'll try to get 2 or 3 runs and shut you down, with their pitching. So we have played them. But, right now we're getting some scouting reports from common opponents that they played this year and trying to piece together, again, our scouting report not only on Kansas State, but Sam Houston State and also Rice.
So you play Friday at 3 o'clock. Is that Eastern time or Central time? Do you know?
That would be Eastern, because it's going to be 2 o'clock.
When you get there. You'll play Friday and obviously see how things go. It's a double elimination, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Rice would be the host school of that particular sub-region, for lack of a better word. A young man from Elder, Billy O'Connor, A10 MVP, right? Tournament MVP.
Yes. Been unbelievable for us. He's one of our co-captains. You know, Billy O'Connor and Brett Greenwell are captains. Billy catches for us. He catches every day. He's really the coach on the field. He runs a ball club. Again, we'll put in some signs, but most of the time he's calling all the pitches, which is great. He handles the pitching staff, which a lot of times in college baseball they're relaying signs in. We have the utmost confidence in Billy, and he calls the game.
That's the best way to do it, because that way your guy that's calling the signs, not only is he the captain of your ball club.
This ball mashed by Micah Owings, and what a play made by Michael Bourne in front of the wall. It doesn't get much better than that. He covered a lot of ground and a lot more ground late to take away extra bases. We'll continue our visit with Scott Googins when we return. Fireworks Fridays, a spectacular post-game fireworks display coming up Friday, June the 5th, after the Reds and the Cubs, presented by PNC. For tickets to every Reds game, call 513-381-REDS or go to reds.com. Scott Googins, the head coach for the Xavier Musketeers. They won 38 games this year. And, man, you guys closed strong. You talk about kind of fooling around at the beginning of the year. What'd you win? 14 of your last 16 games to get in the tournament.
Right. We're peaking at the right time. That's what you want to do, especially in college baseball. Maybe because the school's out, I'm not exactly sure, but we are definitely hitting our stride right now.
For people out there, I haven't seen you play. I know Jeff hasn't. A lot of people perhaps have not seen. What is your team's style of play?
This year, actually, we're swinging the bats halfway decent. We have almost all our guys hitting over 300. We're playing good defense. I think our fielding percentage is .971. So, with our young pitching going out there throwing strikes, we're fielding the ball and we're hitting. We're scoring. We're actually outscoring teams in what we're doing.
Defense is big time important in college baseball because it is always the morale turner in a ball game.
3-3 game here as we begin the 5th inning. Now, you're an Ohio native.
Yes. I'm from Granville, Ohio. And that's Denison University in the hometown.
Great school. Did you go to school there?
No, I went to Ohio Wesleyan, which was about 45 minutes away. Yeah.
Absolutely. So how did you end up at Xavier?
Boy, we don't have that much time. We
have nothing but time, trust me.
When I graduated from Ohio Wesleyan, I went out to Indiana University. I was out at IU for 8 years. A guy, Tracy Smith, was an assistant coach with me. He got the Miami of Ohio job in '96. I stayed in Bloomington for another 4 years. In 2000, I went to Oxford with Tracy. I was there for 4 years. In 2004, Dan Simons, who's an assistant coach at Miami with me, got the head job at Xavier. So I went to Xavier with him for the 2005 season. And then Coach Morgan retired at Indiana. Tracy Smith went back to Bloomington, which they just made the regional this year. And Dan Simons went back to Miami, and I got the job. Wouldn't have drawn it up that way, but my goal was to be a head coach. And
well, congratulations.
It worked out perfect. It did.
Found out to play. Got a family?
I do. They're actually up here. I'm a little nervous because
bring them around here. Come on around here. Bring them around here. Who do you have here tonight?
I've got Ellie and Tommy and my wife Jody.
You got to put the kids on TV, right? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's great. All right. I just don't want them to rate.
You got to see them. I mean, you know, Dad's gone all the time. Come here, young man. Come here, young lady.
All right.
And where's Mom? Mama, come on over here. That swung on and fouled out of play. I mean, you know, Xavier's a family, right?
Yeah.
Hi, Brad. How are you? Nice to see you. You doing all right? Congratulations. Absolutely.
How old are your children?
Tommy's 4 and Ellie's 5.
All right.
Ellie's 5, a little girl named Ella that's 5, and you are adorable, young lady. You proud of Daddy? Baseball? You going? Are they going to Texas?
Mom is.
Mom's going. See you later, kids.
Give her a break from the kids.
Grandmom's taking that.
Yes,
I imagine.
Absolutely.
Well, we're very happy for all of you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
We wish you nothing but the best. Who are you pointing at? One of your buddies? Down there? You got a friend down there?
Pointing at herself on TV.
Good for you. Bradley does that all the time.
Yeah, I'm fixing my hair too.
Well, I really appreciate you coming up here again. This is big time for us, and it's great for the program. And again, like I said, we're excited for the program, and not only the players in the program right now, but past players that have played before, and you know, previous coaches with Larry Redwine and John Morey and Dan Simons. All that you know, they've laid the foundation for us. And
you keep making those regionals, you can keep coming here.
All
right, that's great.
How about that?
Great.
Coach,
I appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Very happy for you. Good luck. We'll be rooting for you. Nice seeing y'all. Thanks for coming up tonight. Head coach Scott Googins of the Xavier Musketeers. They are on their way to the NCAA baseball tournament for the first time ever in school history. Boy, it's got to be so exciting.
There is nothing like that from a college standpoint, Tom. I'm telling you, I get goosebumps just talking about it with him. And I'm telling you, it's almost makes you speechless just going back.
Well, they play a little hit and run with Tejada. It will get Bourne into scoring position. And that'll be the first out in the inning. Bourne started things with a single into left. And now the ground out by Tejada will bring up Lance Berkman in this 3-3 game. Boy, Owings has got to get down to business. You said it, Jeff. I mean, here we are in the 5th inning, and to already have 3 runs against Oswald is shocking in and of itself for this Reds team.
It is. And the thing about what Micah needs to do, and he has some issues with this each and every time that he goes out. The second time around, he tries to do too much. He tries to change his game plan too much. And sometimes you just have to trust your stuff and believe that what you got is good enough. That second time around, continue to pound that strike zone and use your defense a little bit. These guys out there can catch the ball with the red stockings on.
Ball 1 to Berkman.
You see what Roy Oswald does. The opposition stands in there at home plate and he fires it in there. That ball was hit into the left center field gap. It looked like it was headed towards the Reds bullpen, and Michael Bourne comes out of nowhere with his Superman cape on and catches the baseball. Sometimes that's what you have to think when you're on the mound. I'm going to throw strikes. I'm going to make my pitch. If he hits it, I know they're going to catch it.
So the pitch count for Owings. This will be his 82nd of the night. And the bat comes flying out of the hands of Lance Berkman and ends up just missing.
I think that smoked one of our cameramen.
Justin Roan, our first base cameraman down. Justin, you all right, big fella? All right. That took his hair off. Looking good, Justin. Looking good, buddy. Be alive down there. Fastball up and in. 2-1 on Berkman.
You know, the thing about it is being a cameraman there, you're thinking more about the baseball, but with a left-hander up, there's no baseball coming this way. Whoops, here comes a bat.
Well, somebody rifled one down there. Was it yesterday or? Yeah, yesterday. Almost hit the bat boy down there. Now 3-1 on Berkman. You know, after his first 2 times up yesterday, the Reds really attacked Berkman. I mean, they came after him with fastballs. And tonight, you know, they're sugaring around with everything again, knowing all the damage he has done to the Reds in the past. But you look at yesterday's game, after a home run and a double, Aaron Harang in the 5th inning just blew him away. Jared Burton came after him with fastballs, got him on a pop up to center, and then Cordero on a weak pop up to left. Now, granted, you're talking about guys throwing, you know, anywhere from 90 to 95 miles an hour.
But those fastballs were on the inside part of the plate, and that's the part of the plate that Lance Berkman has the most difficult time with.
Hit off the end of the bat, foul. Now, this was a guy who hit that line drive off Micah Owings' right hip an inning ago, Carlos Lee.
About a little double play right here. Lee doesn't run that well. Guys up the middle can turn it over with pretty good ease.
Lee's bounced into 4 of them this year. And Owings ahead at 0-2.
For a big guy like Carlos Lee, he really gets his hands and his hips as they come to contact with the baseball, wherever it may be, in or out. They're really in sync, and that's what a power hitter really has to do, is to get the hips and the hands, legs all working at the same time. Hernandez really doing a job back there behind home plate. Standing up, getting the ball up, setting up way outside when it needs to be, and when he wants a pitch inside, he lets the pitcher know. You see a fist pump out to the pitcher, and he gets right up underneath the hitter's hands.
Two on, 1 out. 3-3 game in the 5th. 0-2 to Lee. And a pitch is up.
Now you've changed his eye level. Sometimes making a hitter take a pitch is the best thing that you can do. Take away some of that aggressiveness. Tom, this is the point in the ball game that I was talking about earlier with Micah Owings. He starts to get some fatigue in that shoulder. Elbow drops even further, and it's difficult for him to get the ball down and away to a right hand.
Check swing, and it made contact with the bat. Still 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Last 2 pitches, he's trying to get the ball down and away. At least that's where Hernandez is setting up. But both of those pitches were inside. Watch this pitch. He wants it. He wants the pitch out here. Watch where the pitch ends up. It's going to be right in here. And that's fatigue. That's dropping your elbow.
Got away with one there.
Yes, he did.
Fly ball to center field. Tell you the one thing, it does make you wonder, Jeff, from what we've seen on a number of critical pitches in this game. Clearly, Owings is having a hard time getting that ball away where Hernandez wants the ball away to the right-handed batters. I mean, this was going to drift back in the middle of the plate as well.
And that's a breaking ball. That's the only reason that Carlos Lee does not jump all over this pitch. And you can see his eyes right down onto the baseball. But the problem is the bat got a little bit too far out towards the pitcher before it made contact. And the reason is because of the speed of the baseball. It was slower. The bat continued to elevate when it caught the baseball, and he hit it straight up into the air. That's when you say to yourself, better to be lucky than good.
Well, now Hunter Pence a batter. 3-3 game. 2 on, 2 out. Pence 0 for 2. And that one in the dirt, blocked beautifully by Ramon Hernandez. Ball 1.
And you see how long Owings had to hold on to that baseball to get it outside. There you go, right there. First 75 pitches at 250. After that, 75 plus, well, may not give up as many home runs, but that's because he's usually out of the ballgame.
1-0 on Hunter Pence. He started 2. They appeal. No, says Mike Estabrook, and it's 2-0 on Hunter Pence.
Sometimes if you're Micah Owings and you can't get the ball down and away, and the only place you can go is inside, and you just have to use it to your advantage.
Topper foul.
You start adding and subtracting instead of locating in and out, and that's exactly what Owings does there. He throws a changeup in that situation. Gets Hunter Pence way out in front, pulls it foul down the left field line. Now you come back with the fastball in. And you hope to get on the hands of Pence and get him to pop it up.
Well, they set up away again that time, and it's too far away from the right-handed batter.
Well, that's the same pitch that he threw for the number 1 pitch, the 0-0 pitch. And he has to hold on to the ball so long just to get it out there. And it's not a quality pitch because he's having to drive it down into the ground.
And there's a walk. Mike Lincoln is ready in the bullpen. Does Owings have one more out left in it? He got ahead of Pudge Rodriguez. 0-2 in the second inning, struck him out. Got ahead 0-2 in the fourth inning with the bases loaded. And now Dick Pole is going to come out of the Reds dugout. And then that's when Owings made that mistake that we've seen a number of times tonight, where they wanted to go away rather than up and in, or just up to Pudge Rodriguez. And the ball drifted back from outside the plate to the middle of the plate. Rodriguez banged it for a 2-run double into left center field.
Well, the object here with Rodriguez at the plate, throw anything but a strike. And you don't normally tell a pitcher that, but with Pudge at the plate and his strikeout numbers so elevated, if he's swinging, you stay out of that strike zone. Keep him in swing mode, let him chase, continue to climb the ladder. Climbing the ladder is continue to build on that fastball. Up, 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 and then further up.
Well, here we are in a 3-3 game with 2 outs in the top half of the 5th inning. Bases loaded for Pudge Rodriguez. And Owings will work out of the regular windup. Or out of the stretch, I beg your pardon. There's ball 1 away.
And this may help him a little bit keep the ball on the outside part of the plate by being in the stretch. Opening that hip just a tad, getting a little rest there with Dick Pole coming to the mound.
High fly ball should end the inning. So Micah Owings pounding his fist into the glove. He's excited. It remains a 3-3 game. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. 3-3 game, top of the order against Roy Oswalt here in the Reds' 5th inning. Mike Owings able to wiggle off the hook, unscored upon, leaving the bases loaded in the top of the inning. Fastball in there to Dickerson, a strike. Chris has hit the ball very hard in each of his first 2 times up. A liner right at the second baseman in the first, then a base hit into center and scored in the third. Will Owings go back out there for the 6th inning? Shattered bat roller down to Berkman. Chris hustling all the way, but is a step late, 1 away.
You see hitters get their bat broken in many different fashions, but the ball that's hit off the hands and the bat snaps is much less painful than the one that's hit off the end of the bat and the bat breaks. The one that's off the end, oh, that hurts. Tingle, tingle.
Swing and a miss by Jerry Hairston Jr., who has popped to short and put down a sacrifice, which helped lead to the first 2 runs of the game in the 3rd inning on a 2-run, 2-out single by Ramon Hernandez.
That's twice now with Hairston at the plate that Oswalt has come right above the hands of Jerry Hairston Jr. Right above, and then he goes down and in and gets him to pop it up.
One hopper back to the mound, and they're 2 away. Mike Lincoln continues to throw in the Reds bullpen, which perhaps could lead you to surmise that he will come on to pitch in the 6th inning.
Well, I would think that there's a possibility that Dusty would let Owings go back out there, if nothing more than to see if he could get through the bottom of this order unscathed and possibly use him as a hitter in the bottom of the inning if it gets to his spot. But I don't think in any way is he going to let him get back to that point where he was just then, with runners all over the base paths and the game hanging on every pitch.
And that's the way the last 2 innings have been for Owings. I mean, the first 3 he faced 1 over the minimum, struck out 3, didn't walk anybody, and allowed 1 hit. And in the last 2 innings, he's given up 3 runs, 5 hits, and walked 4 batters, only 1 intentionally. 1-1 account on Joey Votto in a 3-3 game. Owings has thrown 99 pitches.
He may not go back out.
That one got a piece of Oswalt's bare hand, and he's flinching that thing. But a 1-2-3 bottom of the 5th for the Houston A's. We go to the 6th, tied at 3.
do a terrific job with group sales. Out here's Oldham County Middle School. Yes, sir. They're from Buckner, Kentucky, and they're all sporting the same shirts as you can see out here. And the Reds do a terrific job, as I said, with groups. And what better place for a group to get together and go to the ballpark? For more information out there, 513-765-7600 for tickets, for group tickets, and the Reds will help you out, or go to Reds.com. And it's safe to say that we've got some big Reds fans here, do we not? You guys have school tomorrow?
Yeah.
So that rain delay kind of hurt, but... Oh, okay. They're having a good time out here, Tom Britterman. Let's go back to you.
Amen to that, my friend. And coming with a group is a great way to go to come to a ball game here at Great American Ballpark. The group sales department here will take good care of you. First pitch swinging against Mike Lincoln, and it's gone. A home run by Jeff Keppinger. And boy, the struggles for Mike Lincoln and Jared Burton just continue almost every outing. One pitch gone. 4-3 Houston in front.
Fastball right at the mask of Hernandez, and it tails right over the heart of the plate. You got a first pitch fastball hitter at the plate. You throw him a fastball right down the middle of the plate. Bad things happen.
Little bleeder into right, and there's a base hit. Seventh place hitter with one home run, blast one on the first pitch. The eighth place hitter playing in his fourth game with a base hit into right field. And now the pitcher Oswalt coming up, and those numbers were before the damage in the inning.
What you've got to do if you're Mike Lincoln and Jared Burton is you've got to work down in the strike zone. Even when your stuff is not sharp, you've got to get the ball down in the strike zone. Not mid-thigh, not belt, but down at the knees. If you miss down where the ball hits the dirt. You almost have to treat it as though you don't have your best stuff, so you pitch down in the strike zone, not for a strikeout, but for a ground ball or a weak hit.
The Reds wondering defensively what Roy Oswalt is up to.
And the thing about it, Tom, is you can give only so many excuses to guys that have been out there on a regular basis in years past. Yes, they're in a different role, but the bottom line is you got to figure out how to get ready when you come in the ball game. And if you can't figure that out, then I can assure you that they will make changes on that Reds bench. That's the issue. Because the bottom line from where the Reds stand, especially on this pitching staff, is you got to get people out. And that means if you sit for 5 days and you come into a ball game and it's a tie game, you better get people out. Because you're not the only one that sits for 5 days. Everybody has that. It's part of the game. Got to figure out a way to get it done.
Bunted up the first base line, and Votto will throw to the covering Hairston, advancing Masonette to second base, one away. It's going to be all for Mike Lincoln. Daniel Ray Herrera was warming up in the bullpen. Dusty just kicks that ball out of play. He is not happy at all.
No, he shouldn't be happy. The problem is, Tom, is there's been such a different type of aura surrounding this ball club for so long that you just come in and get your work in. Well, that ain't the way it is around here anymore. You come in and you get people out, or you get out.
Skyline call to the bullpen will summon Daniel Ray Herrera. Sports Ohio on Facebook. Go to facebook.com, keyword Fox Sports Ohio. 3-3 game when the Astros came to bat here in the 6th inning on the very first pitch thrown by Mike Lincoln. Jeff Keppinger homers. Masonette follows with a single. Roy Oswalt bunts him over to second. That's all for Lincoln, and now it's Daniel Herrera. So on to face Michael Bourne with a runner at second and one out. Breaking ball on the outside corner, a strike. Nick Massett warming up in the bullpen. Just activated off the disabled list before the game today. And the Reds optioned Wilkin Castillo's only around a couple of days. Back to AAA Louisville. Darnell McDonald, by the way, cleared waivers and did accept his assignment to Louisville. We wish him well. He is a good young man.
Yes, he is. It's just tough for anybody when you don't get everyday playing time and you have to hit off the bench or play off the bench. That's the toughest job in baseball.
Two and one on Michael Bourne with a runner at second. And a breaking ball snaps on the inside corner, a strike.
This is one kid that doesn't get regular work in Herrera, but yet every time he comes in the ball game, for the most part, seems to be able to get the job.
Having a nice year. A nice rookie year. Bourne wanting timeout after waiting a long time on Herrera to get the sign. Yeah, Miguel Tejada, a right-handed batter, due up next. We told you Massett is getting loose in the bullpen. 2-2 the count on Bourne. And it's low, ball 3.
Beautiful.
65 miles per hour.
But the thing about that pitch right there from Daniel Herrera is the pitch is going to be a strike. Watch where this pitch ends up. It ends up right there. See where the ball drops in? That's a strike whether the hitter swings or whether he does not swing. And that's one of the things that Herrera is starting to learn. He can use that screwball at 3-2, but he's got to throw it for a strike. The hitter's not ready for it, and he can still get an out.
Rolling the dice a little bit right here and right now by allowing Herrera to face Tejada. You have Massett getting loose in the bullpen. I don't know why he would be getting ready. You're not going to bring him in to face Berkman and let Berkman bat left-handed.
Well, I think that this is the situation that you pitch Herrera against Tejada, because you would like to have him just in case Berkman comes to the plate.
Herrera, lefties are hitting 200 against him. Right-handers are hitting 324. 12 hits and 37 at bats.
I think you let Herrera face this guy and Berkman if he gets there. And if there's a possibility that Carlos Lee comes to the plate, well, then that's when you bring in.
Rolled over a foul, so now Herrera headed 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Of course, for the big 3 down there with Weathers, Rhodes, and Cordero, that's my 7, 8, and 9 every time I wake up or go to sleep, have lunch, go to dinner, whatever. I'm winning. Those guys are in the game when the 7th inning comes up.
Well, if you go back to what we talked about at the very beginning, you have to include Nick Massett in that group with a 1.2 ERA. And it's not, you know, second guessing here. I'm sure a lot of people at home are saying right now, well, wait a minute. If there's a legitimate 4th stud in that bullpen so far this year, it would have been Massett. It is Massett, the way he's pitched so far. I'm sure a lot at home are saying, well, if you're getting him loose right now, and he was just activated off the 15-day disabled list tonight, why not him to begin this game in a 3-3 tie in the 6th inning rather than a guy who's having his problems?
That's a legitimate argument. But pitching Massett in the 7th or the 8th inning when you have Weathers and Rhodes, no way. Because Massett hasn't pitched.
No, I'm not talking about
pitched in that situation.
No.
He's not used to it.
1-2 the count on Tejada. And again, rolled over foul. Well, I think you brought up earlier, we have seen guys like Lincoln and Burton primarily use this season when the Reds are behind.
Correct.
In games where they're tied or they have the lead is when we have seen, when they're all healthy, Massett, Weathers, Rhodes, Burton.
And I think at this point, with it being 4-3, I think the next pitcher that you're going to see is going to be Nick Massett. But I would imagine from Dusty's perspective, now that you're down a run, you don't want to burn this kid Herrera and then burn Massett for an inning and then end up having to pitch Cordero or Rhodes, who or Weathers for that matter, in a game where you're behind.
And of course, you can't lean on Carlos Fisher really again today. It would be a 3rd consecutive day since he came up from the minor leagues. 1-2 on Tejada, and that ball jerked down the left field line and bending foul, and a good thing. Try to come in there with a fastball, and he was waiting on it.
And this also goes back to when guys get the job done and when they don't get the job done. And you can see that ball is well off the plate. Awfully difficult to keep that ball fair at any time. But when guys don't get the job done, that's why you saw Dusty kick the ball into the dugout, because he knows he's in a mess now after that ball went out of the ballpark. You're not in a 3-3 ball game anymore. You're not going to your studs because you're down a run now.
10th pitch of this at bat coming. Herrera against Miguel Tejada with a runner at second base. And that one is lined into right field. A base hit. They're going to wave. No, they'll hold the runner at the last second. Now they have Tejada caught. Votto throws. They have him in a rundown. And now they flip and get the out at
Great
first.
job.
Terrible base running by Tejada. He's wondering why the runner wasn't sent to the plate.
Big time tandem relay right there by the Reds. That's how you do it.
gets enough time to wait on his breaking ball from Roy Oswalt, and then lays on it.
He got it the first pitch off this first at bat, and he was way out in front of it. This time he keeps the hands back even though the body starts to float forward, and that shows you the strength. Look at those biceps and triceps and shoulders on that guy. That's why you can leap forward a little bit with your body, keep the hands back, and still smoke it out of the ballpark.
Well, the Reds down only a run after taking care of Miguel Tejada, and made a big turn on the throw in from Jay Bruce. They get him in a rundown to keep it a 1-run deficit against Roy Oswalt as we begin the 6th inning. And by the way, Coors Light Freeze Camp tonight brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light.
That out on Tejada was 9-3 to 6-4.
Indeed. And that's where you learn something every day. All the years that I've been blessed enough to cover Major League Baseball, I never realized when you're not the guy that actually throws a base runner out. I don't care if you had something to do with throwing him out.
It's all the guys that had part of it.
But I had no idea that Jay Bruce gets credit for an outfield assist. And a lot of you at home are saying, are you kidding me? Are you a dummy? Well, the answer, I guess, would be yes. In basketball, they don't throw it around to 5 guys, and then the first guy that threw the first pass doesn't get an assist.
Yeah. When you've got action going on the whole time, and you stop the runner at third,
yeah,
and you've got a guy on a rundown, any of those guys that makes a mistake there, you don't get an out. And that's why they give an assist to everybody that's there, because it's still action going on.
I hear you. So I am the dummy, and good for Jay Bruce. But I will keep that in mind from now on when I'm thinking about that statistic.
It's not always throwing out a guy at home plate.
No, it's obviously not. Or at second base or at third base.
There you go.
Fouled out of play, 1 ball and 2 strikes. But we know one thing, he can throw guys out at second base and at third base and at home plate.
Yes, he can.
The Reds got to find a way to get something going here. 3 runs against Oswalt. I mean, it's like hitting the lottery normally against this guy. We've talked about his career ERA and his 23-1 record. 2.35 coming into the game tonight. The last time the Reds scored 3 runs in a game was last July against Oswalt. There's a base hit into right field. But it's only the second time they've scored 3 or more since 06. And only the 3rd time they've scored 3 or more since 2004 against Oswalt.
Pretty good swing there by Jay Bruce. He got that top hand of the baseball in a hurry. Almost tomahawked it through the right side.
And for Bruce, that is his first hit in 16 at bats.
Ouch.
Well, he was hitless in his last 15 at bats before that one bounces through, and now it's Lance Nix. He showed you his homer his last time up. And Oswalt rears back and delivers a fastball and a swing and a miss.
You can believe that you'll see that pitch again to Lance Nix. Maybe not right here, but sometime in that AB, you'll see that chest high heater. That's the first assist that Jay Bruce has had in quite some time. He had Matt Kemp of the Dodgers had passed him at 7. Now he's back tied for first place, that is.
Mm-hmm. On Jay Bruce and Lance Nix, and there's that fastball you just talked about. He came right back at it, this time at 94.
When you get a guy that is at home plate and you know that you have your good stuff that you can challenge him with, you go to it. And especially a guy like Oswalt, who has that challenge mentality. That's why in the meetings you say, get on the first pitch. He's going to throw fastballs. He's going to stay with it. That's 3 in a row that he's brought to home plate. 93, 94, and that pitch comes in at 95, all right around the belt or a little higher. Lance Nick's a low ball hitter. Normally for Oswalt, a low ball pitcher. But when he gets the ball up, it's got that explosion right at the end of it. It's just got a little hop to it where the ball continues to rise. Or seems to rise, I guess we should say. Ball doesn't really rise.
One and two on Lance Nix. Bruce, a very short lead at first base, and there's a swing and a miss. He just blew Nix away and had it back. 2 gone in the inning. That's 5 strikeouts for Oswalt. Well, Oswalt very slow to the plate. I mean, Jay Bruce, he's a guy that, you know, really should be stealing 20 to 25 bags a year for you.
And he did
talked about this with Eric Davis at length in spring training.
He did that in the minor leagues, but yet up here we've yet to see him run at all.
He's got 3 stolen bases in 4 attempts. I mean, Oswalt has a big high leg kick.
And I guarantee you Oswalt knows that Jay Bruce does not run, and that's one of the reasons you don't see him slide stepping or trying to get the ball to the plate in a hurry. If it was Taveras or Hairston or someone else that would run like Dickerson, a different type of leg kick to home plate. You give your hitter a better chance to hit the ball.
1-0 the count on Alex Gonzalez. And that one gets away, and Bruce is going to move into scoring position.
All right, Reds fans, for a great tasting meal and unbeatable value, pick up delicious JTM Philly Kits, burgers, or delicious hoagies at your favorite grocer. JTM, food, family, and fun.
Well, now you're a base hit away from tying this baby up.
And we saw the base hit earlier by Gonzalez, that fastball down and away, and he spun the cap of the right-hander Oswalt.
Two and 0 on Alex Gonzalez, and a breaking ball is down low. 3 balls and no strikes. Adam Rosales waits in the on-deck circle. Oswalt has thrown 81 pitches in the game.
Tom, do you think in the back of Oswalt's mind that he knows he has struck out Adam Rosales twice?
You tell me.
Book it. Book it. He's thinking to himself right now, I'm not giving a pitch to this guy that just almost hit one off my forehead. Care if he's hitting 200 or not.
Here's ball 4, so he will lock up with Adam Rosales one more time. One thing we've learned in a short amount of time with Adam Rosales. 2 things, really. One, he is not afraid of anybody. And that doesn't mean he's going to succeed every time.
Correct.
But what we saw in spring training and what we've seen a lot of in a short amount of time in his big league career.
He's not intimidated.
It seems like when the Reds need him to get somebody home, he's able to get the job done. And this is a big situation right here and right now.
And he is going to have to look down in the strike zone and not up. He swung at high pitches both his first 2 ABs. And that's where Oswalt is headed. You start at the belt and you keep climbing up. And what Rosales has got to do if he wants to be successful, he's got to keep his head looking down and think down. Because if he gets a pitch down in the strike zone and he makes connection with those hips and those hands in a swing, he might hit it out of here. Best swing, best heater. Let's get contact.
0-1 the count on Rosales. A tying run at second. The lead run is at first. And did that hit him? That hit him. Fastball up and in at 93 miles per hour, and Oswalt upset with himself. Johnny Gomes will now come up to pinch hit. Looked like it got him maybe on a jersey. Left tricep, bicep area.
Well, if you are going to get out of the way of a pitch, that's the way you do it. That pitch was 93 miles an hour, and that was a picture-perfect example of how to get out of the way of a baseball thrown at you for those of you that are watching at home. You turn away from the pitch, turn towards the catcher, and bail towards the third base dugout.
Johnny Gomes has hit safely in all 4 of his appearances since being brought up from Louisville. He had a big time of it here yesterday, getting the start in right field. He had 3 hits, was on base 4 times, and had 3 RBIs.
Miguel Tejada, American leaguer, comes up to Oswalt and tells him the scouting report on Johnny Gomes.
Watch out on the first pitch. A fastball off the inside corner.
You can see the kid elevating out there on the mound. Not a kid anymore. 97-mile-an-hour heater. He knows this could be the ball game.
1-0 to Gomes. Almost hit him. 2-0.
If Tejada came in and told Roy Oswalt that he likes the ball out over the plate, which is what it seems to be the conversation at this point, because he's thrown the first 2 pitches inside. But as we saw earlier, when Oswalt has gone to that side of the plate, the ball has really tailed up and in to the right-handers. That's how he ended up hitting Rosales.
Dewey Robinson, the Houston pitching coach, out to chat with Roy Oswalt. The entire infield, with the exception of Lance Berkman, listening in.
If you're Cecil Cooper, this is a game that you count on. Every 5th day, you count on a win out of Roy Oswalt. And boy, can the Reds make a damper in those plans right here.
2-0 to Johnny Gomes. Ball 3.
I don't think I've ever seen that. Seriously.
Make him take twice here. You know he's taking 3-0.
Let him have a good look. Take the pitch. Look at it all the way in. If I'm him, I get right on top of the dish.
And he walks in a run to tie the game. Can you believe that?
Not I.
With 2 outs and a runner at second, a walk to Alex Gonzalez. Oswalt hits Rosales and then walks Gomes to tie the game at 4. Wow.
You want to pitch the batter inside. Well, watch where Oswalt is going. He's going towards the first base side. Every single pitch, except the last one after the meeting with Dewey Robinson, the pitching coach. He tried to drive that one in there. Oswalt falling to the first base side. Your hand gets flat, and the ball runs up and into the right-handed hitter out of the zone.
Now Chris Dickerson with a chance to take the lead, and Dickerson has had a couple of good at-bats tonight. A line out to the second baseman Masonette in the first inning, a single to center in the third, scored a run, and then Oswalt broke his bat on a roll to first. Borderline call there. How in the world does he get that call after walking a batter, hitting a batter, and walking a batter? I guess that means you're Roy Oswalt.
Well, they cut the blade in half. That's why he gave him the strike, but that looked well below the description of the low part of the strike zone, the hollow of the knee.
1-1 on Dickerson. The Cincinnati Reds, 4 games over 500. They've had to piecemeal a lineup seemingly every day with guys out. And here they are facing the man who has beaten them like no other over the last 8 years. And they've tied the game in the 6th inning at 4. 2-1 now on Dickerson.
Tom, he is having an awful time getting the ball to the plate. And everybody has been out there to talk to him. The only person that has not been out there is Cecil Cooper, and we may see him in a moment. He's falling to the first base side. Every time a pitcher does that, your right hand gets flat. The ball comes out of your hand in an awkward manner, and it runs away from the lefty or up and into the righty. You got to get your hand on top of the ball and drive the ball downhill at this point.
2-1 to Dickerson. Oh, he had a pitch to hit right there. Fastball belt high right down the can and fouled it straight back. Maybe above the belt.
Even that pitch for Dickerson, it looks good, but that's a ball.
4-4 game, 2 outs, bases loaded, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Roy Oswalt coming to Chris Dickerson. This could be the biggest pitch of the night right here and right now. And we're going to do it again.
And you see what Pudge has done, Tom. He did this earlier in the ball game when Oswalt was having trouble getting strikes because the ball was running so much. He has set up underneath the hands of Dickerson. He did it earlier against Votto and blew him away with the high fastballs that were running away from Votto. He's doing it right now, setting underneath the hands of Dickerson, so the run will cover the plate and seemingly be a strike to the hitter Dickerson.
On Chris Dickerson. And a bouncing ball to the right side, fielded by Mason Edward in the inning. But the Reds take advantage of rare wildness by the Houston ace to tie the game at 4. Hernandez in the third, 2-0. But then after a line drive by Carlos Lee hit Micah Owings in the hip, it loaded the bases, and on a 2-strike pitch, Ivan Rodriguez tied it up with a 2-run double. Masonette then shot one into right field to give Houston a 3-2 lead. The Reds tied the game on a Lance Nix home run in the 4th inning. In the 6th, Mike Lincoln's first pitch out of the bullpen, clobbered to left by Jeff Keppinger. And then for just the 7th time in Roy Oswald's great major league career, he walks in a run. And that's where we stand. 4 runs, 9 hits, 7 left for Houston. 4 runs, 7 hits, 6 left for the Reds. And now taking over out of the Reds bullpen, we welcome back Nick Massett, just activated off the disabled list today. Has been on there since a week ago Tuesday with a strained left oblique muscle. He did not allow a run in any of his last 6 appearances spanning 7 innings. And has shut out the opposition in 9 of his 11 overall appearances.
And you really hope that he can pick up where he left off.
Well, he's walking right into the 5th. Berkman, Lee, and Pence coming up.
Not a whole lot of time to think about your side right here.
No. Berkman a triple, has walked twice, scored a run. Berkman only 2 career at-bats against Massett and hitless in those 2 at-bats. 21 career home runs for Berkman in this ballpark, presented by Firestone. Bottom fell out of that ball.
That was a slider that was harder than either fastball the 2 pitches before. Good night, Irene. Good pitch. I believe I'd throw that again.
Well, it come with a rare fastball in on Berkman. That was 96 miles per hour thrown by Massett.
He cannot catch up with that pitch. Not unless you throw him 2 or 3 of them. I'm talking about Berkman on the inside part of that heater. Good night.
Oh, that is nasty stuff right there.
I made a mistake, Tom. I called that a slider earlier. That's not a slider. That's a 2-seam fastball at 91 miles an hour. And you're right about the bottom falling out of it. You see the grip right here. He's got the 2 seams on the ball right there. Just wide enough to keep it where it takes a little speed off the baseball. You're right on the 2 seams where they gather together at its closest point on the ball.
Now Carlos Lee. Lee 0 for 4 in his career against Massey. So Berkman set down for the first time tonight in a 4-4 game, top of the 7th inning. There's a missile in the left center field, a base hit cut off by Nix, and he'll hold Lee to a single. Now that man can hit a fastball.
Yes, he can. This is where Nick Massett is still learning. He takes a 4-seam fastball and he overthrows it just a tad. He leaves it up in the strike zone. And of course, you got a great fastball hitter in Carlos Lee. Now, that's not a pitch that you can load up and hit out of the ballpark, but it is a pitch that you can get to, and that's exactly what Lee does.
Hunter Pence, a batter, 0 for 2, is flied out to right and lined out softly to second and drawn a walk. First pitch breaking ball under the knees, ball 1.
You look at Nick Massett's pitches and you think to yourself, boy, he has got some stuff beyond what we normally see. But it's all about harnessing your physical ability. I think coming into bases loaded in Florida and extra innings did a lot of good for Nick Massett. Oh my, where is that? You come into a situation where you have a tough issue where you're not used to pitching in that situation and you succeed. It gives you a lot of confidence to continue to be able to succeed in that situation and anything that's lesser of that.
2-0 to Pence, and there's ball 3.
Overthrowing just a little bit. Strike out that first batter, and that adrenaline goes full bore.
That was a game Massett came in back on the 4th of May with 2 on and 2 out. He walked Hanley Ramirez to load the bases and then struck out, or got Jorge Cantu on a fly ball to right. And there's a 4-pitch walk. Oh, they called it a strike. All right. That was a game that went 14 innings. That was won by the Marlins 3-2. One to Hunter Pence in a 4-4 game. Jam shot, foul ball out of play.
We talked about the downhill drive to home plate with Micah Owings earlier. Look at where the shoulder is and where the angle is on Nick Massett. See where the arm is now? It's at that 90-degree level, and he's going to take this ball and drive it straight downhill to home plate. It's very difficult to pick up the baseball, number 1, from that spot, and it's even more difficult to get the bat to it and center the baseball.
3-2 the count. Lee not running, and a tapper slowly hit to the right side. They'll take the out at first, and Lee in a scoring position, so a good comeback in that at bat by Massey after falling behind Pence 3-1. 3-0 actually, and then gets the out for the second out of the inning. I'll bring you up to speed on what's happening. The 2 teams meeting that are directly in front of the Reds in the National League Central, all St. Louis tonight, beating up on the former Cardinal Jeff Suppan. If St. Louis wins that game, they would move into a tie with Milwaukee, and should that happen and the Reds get a win here tonight, they would be a game and a half out of first place in the Central Division, with Milwaukee and St. Louis on the docket starting Friday night.
That's the way we like it.
A lot. But you got to win tonight. And you got to win tomorrow.
That means the Reds have got to get another run. And don't let this one in.
Pudge Rodriguez the batter. And a bouncing ball. Hairston is there, and Massett gets it done. Results. Massett getting good results. 4-4 game after 6.5. The internet, watch every out-of-market Reds game live. For more details, visit Reds.com, where baseball is always on. All righty now, 4-4 game. As we go to the bottom of the 7th inning, and Roy Oswalt, for the 3rd time this year, will not get a win against the Reds. And you might say, well, big deal. You know what?
It is a big deal.
It is a real big deal. Tim Burdack will take over on the mound. And he'll be facing Hairston, Votto, and Hernandez in the Reds' 7th inning.
And what you've got now is the Reds bullpen against the Astros bullpen. It's time for the Reds bullpen to shut down the Astros.
Roy Oswalt did not walk a batter all night long until 2 outs with 1 on in the 6th inning with a 1-run lead. He walked Alex Gonzalez. He hit Adam Rosales to load the bases. And then on 4 pitches walked Johnny Gomes, bringing the tying run home. His only 2 walks of the night.
It's amazing how it can happen that quickly.
Yep. Especially for such a great pitcher. And he is a great pitcher.
And fatigue does that.
1-1 to Hairston.
You get just a little bit of moisture in the air. It increases the perspiration when you're down on the field, and all of a sudden you run out of gas a whole lot earlier than you do normally. I don't care if you drink that whole cooler of water down there.
2-1 to Hairston. On the inside corner to even the count. Cubs in a rain delay in the 6th inning at Wrigley Field. They're trying to break a 9-game or 8-game losing streak. And they have a 6-1 lead, but rain has stopped play in the 6th inning. 2-2. Did he go? The appeal, no, says Mike Estabrook. The other lengthy streak of the winning variety belongs to the San Diego Padres. They had lost 6 straight games when the Reds came into San Diego a week and a half ago. They swept the Reds. They have not lost since. They've won 10 straight games. Ball 4 to Hairston to begin the 7th.
Reds pumped up the Padres.
The Best Sports Show period comes your way each and every night, hosted by Chris Rose and Carissa Thompson. Brought to you by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Now Joey Votto. Hairston 4 for 4 in stolen base attempts on the year. Votto's first start in the last 3 days. Has struck out twice and bounced out to the mound.
Burdack goes through almost his whole windup looking at the runner at first base. Those eyes will freeze you.
On Joey Votto, and a throw will send Hairston back to the bag. Sooner or later, missing all of this time has to affect Votto's timing at the plate. I mean, it's hard to get a read on it when you're facing a guy like Oswalt. There's a fly ball into left field. Did he get enough? He did.
Maybe not.
This unbelievable season continues for Joey Votto. An opposite field 2-run home run, and the Reds lead 6-4. Joey Votto doing it.
Is that his last 3 home runs, all off left-handers? Oh my goodness.
This guy's unbelievable. That's what I was starting to say. You know, it's hard to judge whether his timing would be off when you're facing 94-mile-per-hour fastballs.
You know, you're just talking about a special guy when you're talking about Votto. work ethic, behind the scenes stuff that we don't see. That's why he can do what he can do. You watch Joey Votto here. They're trying to go away. The ball is down and the ball is middle in, and it allows Joey Votto just to drop the head, hands and wrist, and he drives it the other way for the deposit. Like we talked about earlier, you don't have to have an all-star card to vote for Joey Votto for the all-star game. Just click on the computer on MLB.com and start punching.
I mean, they only released to us the top 5 so far in the league. And, hey, look, Albert Pujols, you know, I think you can make an argument he's the best player in the game. Prince Fielder's having a great year. Joey Votto's having a better year than Ryan Howard. He's having a lot better year than Carlos Delgado. He's having a better year than Lance Berkman. And you could really make an argument he's having a better year than Pujols or Fielder.
Exactly.
Fielder's playing every day, and Votto's only about, what, 9 RBIs behind him?
And when he gets the by next week, he'll have enough ABs to qualify for the batting title, and he will be first.
I mean, Fielder has 42 runs batted in. Votto's 10 behind him. And I can promise you it's about 60 less at bats. Maybe more than that. Pujols has 14 home runs. That's not Votto's game, even though that was his 8th home run. Pujols has 38 RBIs. Votto has 6 fewer runs batted in than Albert Pujols.
And has missed probably 70-something more at bats. In other words, get your computer out and start voting. Let's go.
On swinging Ramon Hernandez. Joey Votto leads the league in on-base percentage. He is 3rd in slugging percentage, trailing only Raul Ibanez and Albert Pujols. Much better slugging percentage than Prince Fielder. He's 2nd in the league, hitting with runners in scoring position. 4th best road hitter in the league. Doesn't matter whether you're talking right-handers, left-handers, daytime, nighttime. It doesn't make any difference. This guy is just having a monster year.
And if you're a Reds fan, you know that without Joey Votto, this club would not be where it is today. So I'll say it again. Get your computers out and start pressing some buttons. Let's go.
And we're not sitting here shilling for the hometown guy. I mean, you know, look, there are guys that deserve to be there and there are guys that don't. I mean, end of story. But when you start looking at some of these things, Ricky Weeks is the 2nd leading vote getter at second base. And the Reds got a guy at second base that leads the National League in runs batted in for the month. And it's not even in the top 6.
And he's the current Gold Glove winner in Brandon Phillips. That's why I'm saying it's not a popularity contest. It's for the person who has done the best. Votto and Phillips deserve votes. They're not getting them. They need to get them out of Cincinnati and the Ohio area.
1-2 on Bruce, and he fouls it out of play. And really, the teams that are just pouring fans through the turnstiles, you can see it reflected. The one exception, the Cubs.
Right.
Surprisingly enough, they sell out every game. And Aramis Ramirez is 5th at 3rd base in the voting. They don't have anybody else except for Alfonso Soriano in the top 5 in anything. But you look at the Cardinals and the Brewers,
and they've got all the
teams littered everywhere, and they're selling out every night. On swinging is Bruce, 2 away in the inning.
And the only way that you can combat that is to pick up your computer and vote.
David Weathers getting ready for the 8th inning. An 8th inning which will feature the bottom 3rd in the Houston batting order. Keppinger, Masonette, and then a pinch hitter. We're talking about at bats. Votto, he has 51 fewer at bats than Ryan Howard. 51. Has more RBIs than Ryan Howard. And that's a pretty good front part of the order Ryan Howard's hitting behind.
Yeah.
He has,
he's got Chase Utley and Jimmy Rollins on base every single time.
He's got 34 fewer at-bats than Prince Fielder. And he has 31 fewer at-bats than Albert Pujols. Check swing roller. And this will end the inning. But thunder, thunder, thunder from Joey Votto. With a man aboard, gives the Reds a 6-4 lead.
F-150 2009. Motor Trend Truck of the Year. By Aflac. We've got you under our wing. And by your Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers.
If you'd like to vote for the All-Star team, go to MLB.com for the 2009 All-Star Game Sprint online ballot. Every vote counts. Log on to MLB.com. And that man right there, Joey Votto, you know, the chances are he's not going to get enough votes to start that game. I mean, Albert Pujols has been the best player in the National League for the last 6-7 years. The All-Star game is in St. Louis. He's going to win the vote. But Joey Votto deserves to play in that game. We've got a long way to go between now and then, and we got a long way to go tonight. David Weathers now takes over on the mound. Reds leading 6-4. Jeff Keppinger looks at ball one.
But what we're saying is to vote.
To vote. An outstanding return to the mound tonight for Nick Massett. There's a fly ball down the left field line. Nick's in the corner with room, one away. Keppinger had homered his last time up.
Weathers got that sinker in there just enough to keep it in the ballpark.
Strike called Edwin Masonette. 2 for 3 in the game. Darren Erstad standing in the on-deck circle would bat for the pitcher Burdack. But Troy Hawkins, meanwhile, is throwing in the Houston bullpen. Swung on and fouled out of play. 1-2 to Masonette, who's had a good night tonight. They've only been up for 3 games, 2 of them as a pinch hitter. And only 3 at-bats without a hit. But he's 2 for 3 in the game tonight, including an RBI. 1-2 to count. Just off the outside corner. Lined into right. Votto's there. 2 gone. This week on Fox Saturday Baseball, Andre Ethier leads the Dodgers into Wrigley Field to take on the Cubs. That comes your way. Fox Saturday Baseball returning this Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 3 Central. One on Erstad.
Well, it's got to be a good feeling for Cooper in that dugout, the manager for the Astros, to have this guy coming off the bench to hit late in a ball game. Perennial all-star, veteran player, going to give you a good at bat each and every time, even though it's late in the game.
Two and 2. Weathers trying to put this inning away and just missed a little bit high.
Weathers got just a tad ahead of himself right there. Ball came out of his hand just a little bit early. That was supposed to be a backdoor breaking ball. It came out early and stayed high.
Payoff pitch. Foul away. Good fastball in the outside corner there from Weathers.
When you watch David Weathers, he'll sink the ball to the outside corner on the lefties and then try to bring that breaking ball off the plate back to the corner. It's almost like you're looking at an X. Sinker away, slider back to the plate.
3-2. Broken bat roller down to first. Feed to the bag, getting over David Weathers. A perfect 8th inning. Reds back, bottom of the 8th, leading 6-4. Of the game. Could you believe his play? I still can't believe his play by Michael Bourne.
Well, it goes back to that old saying, you can't teach speed. You also can't teach instinct, and that's what kind of reaction that Michael Bourne got off the bat when he took off towards left center field.
You know, a lot of guys in baseball, they're going to end up on the highlight reel because they dive to get to that ball because they don't have the instincts or get the jump. I mean, 99% of the guys either A, don't get there, or B, if they do, they got to dive to get it.
And he catches it on the run. Made it look easy. He covers some ground now.
LaTroy Hawkins comes on from the Houston pen. Reds are batting, they hope, for the final time in this game. They've come from behind, down 4-3 against Roy Oswalt, tied the game against the Houston Ace in the 6th inning, and got a 2-run home run from Joey Votto in the 7th to break the tie. Reds trying to go to 5 games over 500 on the year.
And you think those guys down there in that Reds dugout don't know that this franchise has been absolutely dominated by the one right-hander Roy Oswalt over a period of time? Those guys don't like that, and that's a change in philosophy here in Cincinnati. It's not, oh well, it's Roy today.
Yeah, so take your whipping and go on home.
It's all right. It is Roy, but we're gonna take the whipping to him this time, and we're gonna make him pitch, make him throw enough pitches to where he's gonna wear himself out, get him out of the ball game, and let's take out some damage on this bullpen, which we just saw.
Trying to do some more here against LaTroy Hawkins. This guy's been around a long time, and he still throws the ball very well.
Good mechanics, throws strikes, and he throws hard.
Hawkins pitched for Dusty Baker in Chicago, and that was right around the time where things started to go south for the Chicago Cubs, and really they went south for Hawkins for that year, and man, did he hear it from the fans talking about LaTroy Hawkins. It was just a miserable year, and I believe he is from Chicago.
They tried to put him back at the back end of that bullpen to close, and that's not LaTroy Hawkins' specialty.
Popped up. What a way.
He's a setup man. As long as he has been in the setup role, he has always done very well. You put him in the 9th inning, you got a problem.
Yeah, he's from Gary, Indiana, which is right outside Chicago. So he had gone home to pitch, LaTroy Hawkins. His first year with the Cubs, a 2.63 ERA after so many really good years with the Twins. Then the next year, even though his ERA was 3.3, that's when the Cubs started falling on hard times at 05.
Well, it doesn't matter what kind of ERA you have. If you're blowing saves at the end of the ball game in the 9th inning, you're losing ball games, and the fans take it out on you. Believe me, I know. Boo-hoo!
Oh, and one to Rosado. In the air, right center field, pretty well hit, but room out there for Pence, and that's a second out of the inning.
That looked as though Michael Bourne said, "Here, you can have one." He's standing right beside him as he makes the catch, and Pence was all out in a sprint.
So Willie Taveras will bat for David Weathers. Weathers one perfect inning out of the Reds bullpen. Lincoln gave up a home run to Keppinger in relief of Micah Owings and allowed another hit. Daniel Ray Herrera came on with a runner at second and 1 out, struck out Michael Bourne in that 6th inning. And then what might turn out to be the biggest play of the night was a base hit by Tejada into right field. They elected to hold the runner at third, but when a throw came in from Jay Bruce, it was cut off by Joey Votto. They got Tejada in a rundown, and he was tagged out to end that inning. Remember, Lance Berkman was coming up next. There's a tapper to short, and the inning is over. So we go to the ninth. Reds trying to make it 3 straight wins. They'll be leaning on Francisco Cordero. Cordero comes on for a third consecutive game, and he's looking to try and nail it down. St. Louis leading Milwaukee 8-1 that game in the top of the 8th inning. So if the Cardinals can hold off the Brewers up 7 in the 8th inning, and the Reds can nail this one down, they will be 1.5 games out of first place in the National League Central. Cordero a perfect 12 for 12 in save chances this year.
As we've said so many times, Tom, and I know this seems to be cliche, winning is contagious. It helps your club to continue to fight the good fight. When you know you're within reach, you're almost there, you're pushed for that extra bat, you reach down for that extra pitch. Your hands may bleed, but you fight for that last swing to get that last base hit in a ball game where you have to have it. And that's what the Reds have done.
Top of the order, Cordero facing Bourne, Tejada, and Berkman.
There are some young kids on this Reds ball club that have experienced the losing side of the game, and I can tell you they don't like it.
95-mile-per-hour fastball evens the count at 1-1. Two on Bourne. Bourne 1 of 3 in the game, singled back in the 5th inning. Mike Owings went the front 5. Lincoln a third of an inning, allowed a run. Owings gave up 3. Herrera 1 hit, no runs in 2/3. Massett dominant in his return from a disabled list, throwing extremely hard tonight.
Was he ever?
1 inning, 1 hit, 1 strikeout, no runs. Weathers a perfect 8th, and now Cordero with a 2-run lead in the 9th.
Massett's 1 strikeout. Lance Berkman just put him down.
Now, Cowboy, go back to your days as an outstanding closer. 3 days in a row. Is that a big deal?
No.
Not a big deal.
And the reason being is once you get to 2 days in a row, 3 days is okay. When you get to the 4th day, you're tired. The issue here is not about how many days in a row that you pitch. It is how much time off you get after you've pitched, let's say 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row, or in some circumstances even 5 days in a row when you get into September. That's the time that you have to have 2 days off. And when you don't get it, that's when you start to go downhill.
Sharply hit. Votto down on one knee to make sure, and that's out number 1 in the 9th. Tonight's Mega Million jackpot up to $25 million. Buy a ticket.
I believe that a pitcher like Cordero, when he has had 3 days off, he's much wilder around the strike zone. When he's now pitching on his 3rd day, I think his control is much, much better. You don't try to overthrow. You try to hit the corner, make the slider count, make that turnover change up, make a guy swing, you pitch to contact. But you make your pitches.
Base hit into right field by Tejada. So now the Astros will bring the tying run to the plate. And guess who's coming up? You got it. A man with 47 home runs in his career against the Reds. 20 of the 47 have come at Great American Ballpark. The most home runs by an opposing player among all those that come to Cincinnati wearing a visiting uniform since Great American Ballpark opened. Ball one. Very good numbers for Cordero. They don't get any better than that against Berkman. With Berkman right now the tying run in this game, and Cordero's fallen behind him 2-0. Fastball is a strike on the outside corner. Big pitch coming up right here and right now. Berkman is looking dead red, and something he can tie this game up with one crack of the bat. And he got an off-speed pitch.
And he was looking away for the fastball, trying to shoot it to dead center or to left field. This is the changeup that Cordero turns over. And look how far out in front Berkman is. Not only did he foul it off the end of the bat, he almost hit himself in the face. That's how far his body had leaned forward.
3-2-1 Berkman. Runner goes, and it's lined. One hopper to third. They throw, get the out, and it's a double play. How about that? Adam Rosales throws a missile to second base. They get the out and turn the double play, and the Reds are 5 games over 500. Right there epitomizes this ball club.